Tonight, as polls show a tight race, the federal leaders sharpen their sell.
The choice is clear.
The choice is clear.
How are their pitches playing with Canadians?
You're finding the decision difficult.
For the first time in a long time.
Rosemary's in Battleground 905, where millions of voters could decide this election. Why the RCMP is rethinking how its officers handle car chases.
Did I make a mistake based upon some unethical lapse? Absolutely not.
At the center of controversy, Joe Biden's son speaks out. And fleeing northeastern Syria. We're in a refugee camp across the border from escalating violence. This is The National. With just 5 full days of campaigning left in this federal election, party leaders are out pushing their messages hard, talking up their plans, talking down their opponents, and trying to win every single vote they can. But already, millions have been cast. In 4 days of advanced polls, which ended yesterday, Elections Canada estimates 4.7 million people voted. That's up 29% over 2015. Still, there are many millions more yet to be won over, so that is where the focus is between now and election night, especially, Rosie, in the swing ridings. Everyone's watching very closely this election.
Yeah, like the one I'm in tonight, Andrew, and it is Burlington, Ontario. This is part of that 905, the area that rings Toronto. Suburban voters were key to a Liberal majority in 2015, but some of those 905 victories were very narrow for both the Liberals and the Conservatives. The Liberals won in this riding, for instance, by just 3.5%. Now the Conservatives are trying hard to get it back. It's becoming more and more clear how much each riding matters right now. As Evan Dyer shows us, as a minority government looks more likely, that coalition talk is picking up.
The choice is clear.
The choice is clear, and I'm very confident about Canadians' choice.
Well, not so clear, actually. Rarely have Canadians' votes been spread so thinly among so many parties, with even the frontrunners struggling to get a third of voting intentions. Senior Liberals admit they could be facing defeat.
There's a possibility, strong possibility, that Andrew Scheer could win on Monday.
The campaign has become a dance in which leaders try to keep their options open without committing to any particular partner. But wherever they go, they're asked who's on their dance card.
And with the Greens, they said they're willing to. The difference is they say they're willing to or open to working with the Conservatives. I've said I've ruled that out entirely.
We would not enter into any type of negotiations with the Bloc. I don't need to work with the Bloc Québécois to deliver results for Quebec. I can work with Premier Legault to do that.
Si j'étais Monsieur Scheer, the Bloc's Yves-François Blanchet clearly believes Scheer may have to eat those words and says while he's open to supporting him on some issues, killing the carbon tax isn't one of them. And as the party's jockey in the home stretch, the messaging is more about who will cut.
I will not work with the Conservatives because they cut services, and their platform shows it very clearly. They are going to cut healthcare. They are going to cut transit.
On cuts to culture, on cuts to communities, on cuts to families, to veterans.
And who will overspend.
It's the coalition Canadians can't afford. Justin Trudeau will pay any price to stay in power, and he will use your money to pay for it. So my message to Canadians is this: only a Conservative majority government can prevent a government with Justin Trudeau as the spokesman, but the NDP calling the shots.
Say what they will, either frontrunner is likely to be beholden to a smaller party after Election Day, and that could raise a whole new problem, angering parties' core supporters by teaming up with an opponent. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
The possibility of a minority government is certainly evident in the polls. CBC's poll analyst Eric Grenier explains which parties are slipping and which could end up holding the balance of power.
We're less than a week to go before Election Day, and this election is looking just as close as it has been since the beginning of this campaign. Let's look at the numbers from the poll tracker, the national polling averages, still having the Conservatives and the Liberals within a point of each other. It's been that way since day one. What we have seen changing is that both the Liberals and the Conservatives have been dropping support in the last few days, both of them below 33%. Hard to imagine that either can get a majority government with such low support nationwide. One of the factors contributing to that is the gains for the NDP. They're now at about 17.5% of the vote. That is up from the early days of the campaign when they were vying with the Greens for that third spot. The Greens still holding a lot of their support now at 9%. The Bloc's been making big gains in Quebec. They're at about 7% nationwide, just under 30% in Quebec, in second spot in that province. People's Party still mired at under 3% support. If we look at the trend line, you can really see how things have been shifting in the last few days, that the New Democrats have been picking up, and they've been picking up at the expense of both the Liberals and the Conservatives. We've been seeing them drop over the last few days as the New Democrats tick up, up with each passing day, and that is improving their position in the seat projection. Let's look at those numbers and why we're still talking so much about the potential for a minority government. We now have the Liberals and the Conservatives both below 140 seats, the crest of these hills for the Liberals and the Conservatives, well below 170 needed for a majority government. We're now seeing the New Democrats. They're in third spot in the seat projection. They can win over 30 seats. So can the Bloc Québécois. That means either of those parties could hold the balance of power. If these numbers hold through to Election Day, could be a wild night.
So here in the windy 905, such a crucial region in this campaign, what are the key issues for voters? What's driving their decisions at the ballot box? We're going to have that in about 20 minutes' time. Back to you, Andrew.
Okie dokie. Canada has suspended weapon sales to Turkey. This as the Turkish military pushes harder into northeastern Syria, into Kurdish territory. And tonight, word that U.S. Vice President Mike Pence is going to Turkey to try to broker a ceasefire. Turkey ignored U.S. calls for a ceasefire today. Their assault began last week after Donald Trump said he was pulling troops out of the area. According to the UN, at least 11 children have been killed on both sides, several more have been injured, and at least 160,000 people have fled northeastern Syria. Margaret Evans spoke with some of them at a refugee camp in Iraq.
It might not seem like it behind chain-link fences, in the dust and on the hard concrete, but this is what safety looks like. Nearly 200 Syrian refugees arrived here in northern Iraq just yesterday, with little more than the clothes on their backs. Hanan is a young mother, anxious about showing her face. I will stay here because I feel safe, she says. We have more value here. They don't let anything happen to Kurds. This is what she fled, the Syrian town of Ras Al Ain. Footage taken today shows Turkish-backed rebels fighting against Kurdish militias, also being targeted by the Turkish army from just across the border. Elsewhere, Syrian regime forces backed by their Russian allies were on the move, invited in by the Kurds after the U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew his protection. Hanan and her family spent 4 days just trying to get close to the Iraqi frontier. The border between northern Syria and northern Iraq is not open. People can't cross freely, and people here tell us that they actually had to pay smugglers to get them across. Baha Hassan Nayami is Hanan's husband. The Turkish hit Ras Al Ain with airstrikes, he says. We didn't have any place to go. The Kurdish regional government is clearly prepared to receive refugees, even if it hasn't opened its official borders to them. The new arrivals say they're grateful, but they're also bitter about what's happening and feel betrayed by the U.S. president. His decision harmed us, says Nayami, harmed Kurds. When he withdrew, he broke our backs. And now he is a refugee perched in a camp on the edge of a much larger one. Layers from previous waves of mainly Kurdish refugees fleeing Syria's seemingly endless bloodshed. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Northern Iraq.
Meanwhile, a Canadian couple is spending another night in a Turkish prison. They've been there for 3 months now, and CBC News has learned authorities there are preparing to lay serious charges against them. In this exclusive story, Katie Nicholson tells us there are fears they were radicalized.
A moment of celebration in a Mississauga mosque. Ikar Mao and Halima Mustafa were at the very beginning of their life together. Months into their marriage, the Canadian newlyweds were on vacation in Turkey when they were taken into custody near the Syrian border. Mal and Mustafa have been detained in Turkey since July. Sources with direct knowledge of the case tell CBC News authorities there are preparing terror-related charges against them, and that Mustafa's family feared Mal was enthralled by ISIS and heading to Syria. That's why they went to the Turkish authorities for help. On a website that helps travelers find free accommodation, Mal wrote the couple wanted to learn Arabic and Turkish and that they were looking for a place to stay in a city 50 kilometers north of the Syrian border, a gateway for people fleeing ISIS and for those who wish to join it. Canadian security officials say neither Mal nor Mustafa were on any Canadian watch list.
I'm really interested in knowing under what grounds they're being detained.
This national security professor says if the couple is being detained on criminal grounds, the Canadian government can't interfere. But
RCMP and potentially the CSIS would be trying to understand the motivations, what's really going on.
Mal's family has declined comment. Mustafa's family has not responded to repeated requests from CBC News, but we have spoken to more than a dozen people who knew the couple. Some say RCMP have contacted them asking if the couple harbored any extremist views. Online, there are few clues. Mustafa's social media accounts closed down. In 2016, the outspoken fashionista said she wanted to change the way people view the hijab.
It's something that is always there to remind me of God and of my values.
What little there is of Mal's presence, affable and musical.
The plan of God is never wrong.
This may turn out to have been a complete misunderstanding or some sort of domestic dispute amongst the family members that unfortunately turned into a bit of a national security issue for Canada and Turkey.
This national security expert says their names and details have likely already been shared with Turkey's national security partners.
Certainly the United States, the United Kingdom, a number of other countries may have access to that information.
Global Affairs Canada says it is providing consular services, but for now, that's all it's saying. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
The fourth Democratic debate is on right now in Ohio, with an even dozen candidates trying to stand out. And that's two more than in the debate last month, making it a tall order to stand out. Everyone making the case that they can win the presidency. Now, a lot has changed in recent weeks. Donald Trump, for example, now faces an impeachment inquiry. And tonight, that topic was red meat for the people who hope to unseat him. Senior correspondent Susan Ormiston is also in Ohio tonight, speaking with Democratic voters. And in that bellwether state, she found women mobilizing to retake the White House.
Meet Katie Paris and the red wine and blue women of Ohio.
We know that Ohio can go blue in 2020. When they put it in the suburbs, I was like, this is what we've all been talking about.
Drawn together for wine, of course, and the ways and means to fend off Republicans.
They're fighting hard to convince everyone like us to vote for him. They know this is where they have to fight, and we're stronger.
If Democrats are to have a chance here, they'll need these women engaged.
2016 was a wake-up call for so many women who were sitting on the sidelines, kind of thinking, okay, you know, I'm going to vote, but not necessarily be too involved. And then the 2016 election happened, and they said, it's time to get off the sidelines.
At Four Corners in Westerville, a university suburb, competing teams of Democratic supporters. While just down the block, a Trump truck all the way from North Dakota with its treasures.
It used to be that whoever won here in Ohio won the White House. It's been that way since 1960. This is Republican territory currently, but the Democrats chose it strategically today, hoping that younger, more educated, and female voters in the suburbs will help turn the tide.
It's time! It's time! It's time for a woman in the White House!
Since the last debate, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren has become the Democrats' front runner.
I think she's calm, collected, and I think she's the woman to get the job done.
Democrats tonight are closely watching Bernie Sanders' performance 2 weeks after his heart attack, listening for Joe Biden's rebuttal on Ukraine and the impeachment inquiry in a still crowded field of 12 apostles.
In the suburbs.
With red wine to fortify, they are starting now, a year away from the election, going for a blue swing in a Republican state.
Because the way it's going is not okay, and this isn't the world that we want to leave our kids with.
Your voice is better, you know.
Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Westerville, Ohio.
Now, with Joe Biden front and center on that stage in Ohio tonight, it was more than a little surprising to see his son talking publicly about Ukraine this morning after laying low for months. Now, as Paul Hunter reports, Hunter Biden was finally responding to months of attacks and accusations from the U.S. president.
Where's Hunter?
Rarely these days does Donald Trump miss a chance to mock Hunter Biden.
Where is he?
The implication that the son of Joe Biden has been ducking allegations raised by Trump without evidence that when Hunter Biden sat on the board of a Ukrainian energy company, he wrongly profited when his then vice president dad pushed Ukraine to root out corruption.
There's been a lot of misinformation.
Poor judgment with bad optics to be on that board while his dad was in office, said Hunter Biden, speaking out today. But that's it.
Did I make a mistake? Well, maybe in the grand scheme of things, yeah. But did I make a mistake based upon some unethical lapse? Absolutely not.
It's a separate allegation that's put the Trump presidency at risk, that Trump himself, with lawyer Rudy Giuliani, in turn tried to press Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. That's led to the impeachment inquiry into Trump, and, say critics leading Trump, to try to put attention on Hunter Biden. And today, Hunter Biden's reply.
What I regret is not taking into account that there would be a Rudy Giuliani and a president of the United States that would be listening to this ridiculous conspiracy idea.
The big question, what does all this mean for Joe Biden's bid to take on Trump next year for the White House? The Bidens deny any wrongdoing, but Trump has a big platform. He tweeted today, Joe Biden's got problems. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Now let's turn to a different kind of storm on this side of the border. Manitoba is pleading with people. Be careful and be patient. Thousands have been left in the dark since last week's blast of snow. And as Cameron McIntosh shows us, many of them can't get hooked back up until conditions are cleaned up.
At least they have a souvenir. That was the electrical meter.
So which way did the line come in?
So just along here on this side.
Early Friday, that fallen tree still on his neighbor's house ripped the meter and power line from Brent Sanfilippo's home.
You can actually see where it tore up on the side there.
He's living on a borrowed generator, bracing for a long wait. He needs to make an insurance claim, get his meter reinstalled, inspected, then finally service hooked back up. Yeah, he's on the phone a lot.
It's frustrating because it's so out of my control, because all I can do is phone, and everyone's phoning because everyone's in at least some kind of a similar situation.
After all the damage caused by an unprecedented storm, many people around Manitoba are asking, what now? Here in Winnipeg alone, there are tens of thousands of people, homeowners, that have yards full of heavy debris.
Today, the mayor admits he's not sure how it will all get picked up, where it will go, and who will pay for it.
The short answer is wouldn't rule anything out. I mean, we want to have a thoughtful plan researched.
Meanwhile, melting snow is also causing some minor rural flood worries. About 5,700 First Nations evacuees are waiting in several communities, but the big focus remains the rural power grid.
It's a shit show out here.
Yep.
Okay, that's the truth.
About 12,000 customers are still without electricity. Manitoba Hydro says it could take another 9 days, pleading for all still affected, rural and urban, to bear with them.
Best case scenario, what? End of the week?
I would say so, yeah.
In the meantime, Brent and his family are living by the hum of their generator. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Okay, when we come back, more from Rosemary in Battleground 905. We're going to check in with voters in swing ridings outside Toronto. But first, more and more police car chases are ending like this. What the RCMP plans to do about it. Back in 2 minutes. CBC News has learned the RCMP is taking a hard look at its policies and training when it comes to car chases. Now consider this, between 2013 and 2018, nearly 200 cruisers were rammed by fleeing suspects. And as Rafi Boudjikanian tells us, almost half of those collisions were in Alberta.
So we turned left.
Stephen Brown won't soon forget what happened last December.
He and his partner spotted a speeding car, gave chase. The suspect lost control and stopped. Brown got out of his police cruiser.
I was retrieving my sidearm at that time, and as soon as I planted both feet on the ground.
Yeah, he just hit two PCs.
He hit Brown too, dragged him, then stopped.
I received a crushed tibia plateau on my left leg, torn knee cartilage on the left leg as well. It hurts when you get run over by a car.
48 officers have been hurt, 3 of them seriously. And collisions have increased. 197 RCMP vehicles were damaged between 2013 and 2018, 87 of them in Alberta.
Some of these guys have a different mindset.
Alain Hepner has represented offenders who have rammed RCMP vehicles.
Often it's because there's a ton of drugs in the car, often, or contraband of some kind, or guns.
With few municipal forces and no provincial police, the Mounties are responsible for a lot of territory in Alberta.
We should be concerned about the police officer's safety, the public safety.
This former police chief banned pursuits in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. He thinks the RCMP should collect better data.
But I would also like to know not only how many there were in total, but how many were called off, why they were called off.
The RCMP says it plans to further restrict members on when they can engage in pursuits and update training in the next few months. Brown says nothing could have changed his close call. He counts his blessings, though work may never be the same again.
I may live with the pain or a degree of pain for the rest of my life.
Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Airdrie, Alberta.
An RCMP officer in BC is suing the force for malicious prosecution after she was suspended for almost 2 years. She and her husband say their lives and their careers have been ruined.
What they've done to us is unforgivable.
Corporal Tammy Hollingsworth was accused of lying and abuse of power in the way she handled an affair between 2 employees. Those allegations were eventually overturned by an internal tribunal, and her husband, Inspector Suki Manch, faced similar allegations and was also cleared. But his lawyer says the RCMP is trying to reinstate allegations that were previously dropped. The RCMP has not yet responded to the civil suit. And the Alberta government says it's joining a class action lawsuit against dozens of pharmaceutical companies to recover costs related to the opioid crisis.
This is important for the future of our province to make sure we send a signal that we can't prey on the vulnerable.
It was British Columbia that launched the case a year ago, and Ontario, along with Newfoundland and Labrador, have also joined. Nearly 4,600 Canadians died of opioid overdoses last year, most from drugs bought on the street. But the lawsuit alleges the crisis was caused by companies promoting prescription opioids with misleading information. Okay, after the break, more election coverage from the 9:05. Rosemary visits a family of undecided voters in a key riding, and you'll hear what's on their minds as they look to cast their ballots.
You're looking at a bird's eye view of Burlington, Ontario, located in the swath of suburban ridings that surround the city of Toronto. The Liberals won in 2015 by luring many of them away from Stephen Harper's Conservatives at the time. Tonight, the National is here, though, to give you a sense of where their minds are at and how they feel about the choices that are before them.
Milton is one of those fast-growing ridings in the 905. That belt of population-dense, vote-rich regions that is key to winning the election. About 70 kilometers from Toronto, families move here because it's more affordable and they can still commute to the city. It is exactly why Kunal and Tonya Sharma are here with their twin boys, Ranveer and Prithvi.
So I guess I'm just sort of wondering where your heads are at a week away. You haven't voted yet?
No.
No.
You're still thinking?
Yes.
And you're finding the decision difficult?
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah, tell me why.
Just having educated ourselves a little bit more about what the parties are promising and what each of their platforms are. And we're finding a lot of issues that we're concerned about or that are important to us are not really getting addressed to the degree that we'd like to see it addressed.
And what has been the biggest issue for you?
The biggest one for me really has been like the climate change stance that people are taking. And that has completely to do with what we're going to leave behind for our kids. You know, we've lived our life. We've got a couple more years left in us. But the repercussions of everything we're doing today that my boys have to live with, no one party or no one candidate has everything you want.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to decide which one's the best deal you're going to get from the candidate.
Okay, so climate change.
100%.
One of the top things. What would be another that's sort of weighing on you?
Gun control. That's a big thing for us. Having been in Toronto for the last 19 years, we've seen gun violence increase. I know that the Prime Minister has promised assault rifle ban, but handguns are a bigger problem, and I know he wants to leave it to the municipalities, but why won't the federal government take ownership and responsibility for an issue that seems to be growing in our community and is a problem in a big city like Toronto? And obviously it's percolating now into Brampton, Mississauga, Milton. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So for me, as a mom of 2 young boys, this is an important issue.
Milton is a new home for the Sharma family. They've lived here for only 2 months. Before that, it was Brampton for 9 years, and before that, Toronto. The further away they get from the city, the more affordable life becomes.
Part of the reason you live this far where you have to rely on the GO train is because of affordability, so that kind of ties in.
Like being able to afford a house.
Yeah, being able to afford a house that you really want to live in.
Yeah.
The commute time is really long. I'd rather live close to work so I can spend more time with the family. But that's not possible working in Toronto and living in Toronto. So then you just kind of start spreading out.
We're certainly not in a position where we can afford to buy a place anywhere close to Toronto. That's why we live in Milton.
Right. And are there things, like as a family, that you're obviously doing well, but are there things as a family that could be easier if the government, give tax credits or grants or loans or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you used to get tax credits for children's activities, the arts, the sports.
Yeah.
They've disappeared over the last couple of years. That was money. It wasn't a significant amount of money, but it was still enough to offset some of the expenses you had for your kids. You used to get transportation credits on the GO train and the TTC. You don't get that anymore.
Those are all things that are being promised, though, again.
Yeah.
I kind of question why they went away to begin with. They were small things that made your life easy at the end of the year.
The race is tight here, with Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party, Lisa Raitt, trying to fend off political newcomer and former Olympian Adam Van Couverden. The Sharmas are wondering, do they want a strong MP or to back a party they support?
So is it sort of hold your nose and vote, or is it how would you characterize?
It's the lesser of 2 evils as far as we're concerned right now.
It's not a slam dunk, we know what we're doing, right?
No,
it's
not. The first time round when we voted Liberal, we were very sort of convinced and very stoic in our decision, but it's not the same this time. And
how does that make you feel?
Not so good.
Yeah.
Not so good. In a country where you have such diversity and such different party politics, it shouldn't be that close. It should actually be a fairly big gap between who we really, really like and who we're not so convinced about, and it's not.
And it also has to do with, I guess, our local candidates.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the second in command of the Conservative Party who's running.
Lisa Raitt, yeah.
Yeah, right? So she's got pedigree and she has, heft when she's at Parliament Hill. But then if you're leaning Liberal, your candidate is, an Olympian, that's great, but no political heft, no experience. So you want the Liberal government at the center, but then your local candidate is not necessarily representative of what you think they'll be able to achieve. And now you have this other split that...
So is it strategic voting? I know we always talk about that on TV and the media.
You don't really have a choice now,
yeah.
do you? You've got, 30% both parties polling at?
Yeah. Yeah.
So any vote not for the second person is a vote for the first person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so good luck.
Thank you.
You're going to wait till the last minute?
We're all going to need it.
Yeah, you're going to go on Monday and do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Lots of reading to do.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to broaden our survey of suburban voters in the Greater Toronto Area, where this razor-close election campaign might indeed be decided. David Common met some of those voters on their way to work.
With less than a week remaining and a minority government looking ever more likely, seats in the suburban 905, where the Liberals and Conservatives are razor close, are deep in the campaign crosshairs.
So Whitby right here is our first stop, about an hour east of the city of Toronto, downtown. And with a quarter of commuters spending more than an hour of their day in their cars, the carbon tax here could prove to be quite decisive.
Well, it's pretty well divided here. It always has been.
Carbon tax, does that mean anything for you?
Other than more expensive groceries. Other than that, no.
I think that it becomes one of those tools to garner voters' attention and to garner voters.
As commuters head into the city, they are bombarded. Ads on the train, brochures in the station. Winning Whitby could be the key to winning the most seats. It's that close. And some are quite fine with that.
Whoever gets in power, I don't want it to be a majority. I think a minority government right now is more important because people need to work together, and that needs to be the main goal.
As the last express train heads into Toronto, we're headed to the other side, a vast area that can expect a lot more attention in these final days to convince undecided voters. The pathway to a majority is right here in Mississauga. 6 seats in play. Either the Conservatives need to grab them or the Liberals need to hold them. There are 2 seats in particular. One of them is right here, Mississauga Lakeshore, and this is a rematch of the 2015 race. Same candidates. Once again, there's a Liberal sign, there's a Conservative sign, neighbors disagreeing right on the same street. It's going to happen all over the place, but it's critically important here because in that last election, those 2 parties were separated by just 6 points. Half the population here is either immigrant or first-generation Canadian. And at this grocer, lots of talk, and right now, indecision. When will you make a decision about who to vote for?
Let's see. Until last day.
Until the last day?
Maybe the day before. We'll see first.
Others have long since come to a conclusion, well thought out, and deeply pessimistic.
Because I don't trust any of them.
You don't trust any of them?
No, because basically what it is, there's all these promises, and then when they get to power, it's just like we don't count.
You might have heard that elsewhere too, just as you've heard voters whose minds are more than made up.
I just want to tell you, I'm way for the Liberal. I'm that way.
I don't think anybody should have voted for Trudeau, ever.
One constituency north in Mississauga, Erin Mills, this man is no Trudeau fan.
You can't believe a word he says. So, if you want to know who I'm supporting, I support Andrew Scheer.
If political candidates drop by this retirement home, they haven't yet, they'd hear of pensions. And of course,
well, it's health care for me. There's such a long waiting list when you go to the hospital.
They were supposed to consider taking the drugs over by
pharmacare.
Pharmacare.
Next, we're heading north in the suburban 905 to the Aurora Oak Ridges Richmond Hill riding. The Conservatives long dominated in this area. That is until the last election when the Liberals managed to pick it up by the narrowest of margins, just 2 percentage points. But that new Liberal MP, she crossed the floor, became a Conservative, is running under that banner again. And the Liberals, they want this area back. But here too, voters aren't always, shall we say, enthusiastic.
They're terrible leaners. There isn't one of them that I would vote for.
And David's here with me in Burlington. Thank you for coming out here. So obviously this riding, very close the last time round. The riding where I was yesterday in Milton, that featured our lovely family there, also very close, although it may flip the other way to the Liberals. I mean, is that sort of part of why we are seeing so many people spend time here?
Yeah, certainly the amount of time that's being spent by the leaders, the amount of money that's being spent by campaigns throughout the 905. You look at here in Burlington, 3.5 percentage points separating the 2 candidates, the Liberals and the Conservatives, in 2015, as you've noted. And so that creates the dynamic for where we are today. It's still a very close race, but one the Conservatives really do need to win if they're going to form any kind of government. And history is in many ways on their side. If you look provincially, they've only lost once since 1943. So there is a strong Conservative bed here. The question is whether they can translate that going forward, and that is the question really throughout the 905 region on what is a very breezy night, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you for suffering through with us. That's David Conn. We're going to take a 2-minute break, but when we come back, we are on the campaign trail with the leaders and their spouses. How do they define their roles in 2019? That's next. Feminist Maureen McTeer famously refused to take husband Joe Clark's last name. Margaret Trudeau became a living symbol of rebellion. Lorraine Harper loved hitting the road on a motorcycle. Canadians have known some dynamic Prime Minister's spouses over the years. So who will they get to know better after next Monday? Our Hannah Thibodeau takes a look.
They're in the spotlight and wield power. No, not the leaders, their spouses. And times have changed. These spouses are different.
I don't ever feel like I'm playing a role or that I'm fulfilling a role as the wife of.
Justin Trudeau's spouse, Sophie, attends many events with her husband.
Hello.
And when she's not traveling with Trudeau, she stands in for him.
So you've been out there campaigning. What else have you been doing? Door knocking. I've been going into different candidates' offices.
She also helps manage tough situations, like when the photos of her husband in black and brown face emerged.
Life has tough moments, so when it gets tough, it's an opportunity to show what you're made of and to rise above. I know who my husband is, I know who we are, and I think Canadians know as well.
It's not always easy, but I enjoy the role of support person, and I try to help as much as I can and be there for him.
Conservative leader Andrew Scheer's wife Jill says attacks on social media and negative headlines are what makes it stressful.
We FaceTime the kids and just bring it back to our normal lives and talk about things that are topical and things to do with the kids. It just sort of changes the channel and just kind of lightens the mood.
She helps him kick back.
One of Andrew's assistants has one of those speakers, and we hook it up on the bus and we have dance parties.
Does Mr. Scheer have dance moves?
Not really, no. He's not so much a dancer.
Gurkiran Kaur is one of Jagmeet Singh's closest political advisors.
I'm his partner, so naturally you want to chat with your partner about how the day's going, or if there's certain events that, were frustrating, or if it was a good day. So in those conversations, you're going to want to give the best advice to someone I believe should be our next Prime Minister.
Hey, welcome home.
She's playing a big role in his campaign in Burnaby South, recruiting volunteers, entering data, and canvassing. John Kidder is the man beside Green Party leader Elizabeth May. The two were married last April.
We made a pact at the beginning of this that we would not have more than 2 weeks separation between us at any point.
Kidder still has political ambitions of his own. He's the Green candidate in Ashcroft, BC. Kidder is also May's finance critic, but says his most important role is to provide emotional support.
Our pillow talk is politics,
Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
And that is it from Burlington, Ontario. Tonight, on Monday, election night, join me for live coverage of all of the results on CBC Television, CBC News Network, CBC Gem, the CBC News app, cbcnews.ca. You can't get away from us. Canada Votes 2019 begins at 6:30 Eastern. For now, back to Andrew.
Okay, and still to come, are women the answer to a worker shortage in cybersecurity? We're back in 2 minutes.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, from austerity measures to payroll problems, why the UN has serious financial troubles, and what the U.S. has to do with it. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Protesters and police clashed in Barcelona as supporters of the region's independence movement continue to protest the sentencing of separatist leaders. Violence erupted as thousands flooded the streets. In a second straight day of rallies, riot police fired tear gas and charged a crowd of protesters who were trying to access government buildings. This follows the sentencing of 9 Catalan separatist leaders, jailed for their role in a failed bid to break away from Spain in 2017. Felicity Huffman began serving her 2-week prison sentence today for her role in the U.S. college admissions scandal. The Desperate Housewives actress reported to this federal prison roughly 56 kilometers east of San Francisco. It's a minimum security facility with more than 1,000 female inmates. Huffman will also pay a fine and perform 250 hours of community service. She admitted to paying $15,000 to boost her daughter's SAT scores. And President Donald Trump honored the Stanley Cup champions at the White House today after their historic run.
And the St. Louis Blues' amazing comeback reminds us to never give up, never lose faith, never ever quit.
Today's visit was somewhat controversial since players from other teams have stayed away from White House visits hosted by Trump. Not so today. All the players who helped the team climb from last place to their first ever Cup win were there in attendance. The team also presented Trump with his own jersey, complete with the number 45. Okay, in 2 minutes, a potential solution to a problem in the cybersecurity industry. Not enough skilled workers to help protect our data. Why some say women are the answer. Over the past decade, billions of people around the world have been affected by data breaches and hacks. It's becoming a nearly daily occurrence, and part of the problem, there aren't enough skilled workers to protect our devices. Some estimate that globally, the industry is short nearly 3 million people. But as Jacqueline Hansen tells us, there may be a way to narrow that gap.
Memory, now I want to load it up into some kind of a debug tool.
These students know their future in the cybersecurity industry is bright.
It's very rare that I hear of somebody who doesn't have a full-time gig at graduation. At this point, if this
The 4-year degree at Sheridan College used to be a tough sell.
We had trouble keeping classes of 10 and 15 students through all 4 years of study, but since then it's grown a lot. Right now we have approximately 350 students across all 4 years of the program. And if you want to get a sample of that,
even that's not enough to meet demand, but there's an untapped demographic that could help. Lisa Kearney has been in the industry for years and believes women are the key.
Women are great multitaskers, they're great investigators, they pay great attention to detail. So if they were given an opportunity, equal opportunity and support within the industry that men have, there would be a lot more women. All right.
She says she was often the only woman in the room. So she's created an organization to mentor other women and bring awareness to the challenges.
I've been bullied, I've been harassed, I've been told, excluded from meetings, excluded from decision making.
You're looking to see, what kind of holes exist on.
There is hope. Alana Stasician is new to the industry, and she says she's been lucky so far.
The groups that I've worked with, for the most part, have not been, offensive or discriminatory.
But Statistician wants to make sure she's recognized for her skills, not her gender.
When I was applying to my co-op, they were like, oh, it won't be an issue because you're a woman. I feel like I've definitely worked very hard in my 4 years in school. So it was a bit demotivating.
The college is doing high school outreach to recruit and help fill the pipeline with more qualified women.
There's no one silver bullet, but trying to address the gender inequality is definitely going to go a long way to filling a lot of the open roles.
And as more women and men consider cybersecurity as a career,
they might be surprised about what they find here. They might really like it.
Some of these you already know how to do now, right?
Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Oakville, Ontario.
Okay, this next story may sound familiar. Remember Monty the Python? After months on the lam with a case of mistaken identity mixed in, finally, some good news. That's next in our moment. Well, if pets really are like family, then Monty the Python's got to be the petulant teenager who worries his mother's sick. He disappears without saying anything, he doesn't call, and then surprise, surprise, it just shows up after all this time like it's no big deal. Monty first disappeared on his Toronto owner the night the Raptors won the NBA title. This was back in June. Then he even let an imposter take his place. But now, the happy reunion. The conclusion of Monty's slippery saga is tonight's moment.
Come here, Monty. You're a superstar. That was the last night my son saw him. He noticed that the
aquarium was open. I looked in his cage and was like, oh my God, where's Monty? And then we put him in his aquarium, and my son called me and he said, Mom, come downstairs. So we're like, oh my God, it's not the same snake. We tried continually for a couple of weeks right after he went missing to find him, and my younger son opened the cabinet because he was looking for something, and then was basically nose to nose with Monty, popped out at him. And so he got the fright of his life. We put Monty back in his home and gave him some water, and he's waiting to be fed today because I'm sure he's hungry. He hasn't eaten in 4 months. He's quite a bit smaller than the substitute snake, Sneaky Pete, we had. And as a snake mom, I should have known. Yeah, honestly, he's probably half the size of the other one.
Well, that's just crazy. I don't know how many years I've been doing this, and I don't know how many lost snake stories I've heard over those years, but it's too many. Please put locks on those aquarium things. That's The National for this October 15th. Have a great night, folks.